Hello, whoever has the pleasure of watching this video. My name is Evan Hodes, and I am a resident assistant at the Cary Quadrangle at Purdue University. And this project is a reflection over my first 8 weeks as a resident assistant on campus. This year, I get to live in the flagship residence hall of Cary South, along with about 32 other freshmen on my floor. From my experience in training this last summer, I knew that there were going to be some requirements for the RA role and some parts of the position that I was going to have to get done. Some of which include weekly events, so our floor tradition and dinner that meets every week, intentional conversations and getting to interact with residents on a regular basis, as well as trying to relay them information through passive events, so monthly bulletin boards and weekly potty talks that try to give them information about events and resources on campus for them. Obviously, there are other things like having to uphold policy at times, and there are some fun things too, whether it's floor, building, or neighborhood events, and trying to overall increase their connection between the floor and the rest of campus. And on top of what I got to learn from this summer, there are obviously some aspects about the job that I wasn't really trained for and didn't really anticipate coming in. The first of which was turning my room into my residence rooms at time. Whether it's us watching TV in the room, just hanging out, having snacks and eating and conversing, there are definitely some times where it feels like my space has turned into their space. In addition, I didn't realize how many intramural teams this school even offered until being a part of this floor. From floor hockey to volleyball to any other sport you could imagine, it seems that we have a team for everything, but on the bright side, it does help build community. And then finally, one thing that came as a shock to me a couple weeks ago was when the power went out. And since I was on duty on that night, I did have the privilege of being able to walk around Cary multiple times in the dark with a flashlight, trying to help anybody in need. And while this slide does kind of look like a list of complaints, I will say that this job has given me so much experience that I'm so incredibly grateful for, and I'm really excited that even though I didn't really get to anticipate some of these things, that I do have the experience with me today. When it came to move-in day on campus, one thing I was incredibly nervous about when all of my residents were moving in was how I was going to instill inclusive excellence on our floor. One of the things I looked at immediately when I got my list of residents was where they all were from, whether they were from in-state, out-of-state, or out of the country, which is exactly why this slide here shows the countries where all my residents come from. And it's something I just wanted to be aware of, to know that people were coming from extremely different backgrounds. And hopefully my awareness and trying to be open and receptive to them would help make the process a lot smoother for everybody involved, not only for moving in, but helping their success throughout the school year. And the second thing I looked at when trying to help instill inclusive excellence was try to help build connections between students and making sure that everybody felt accepted and included based on what they were studying. Because it's really easy to get wrapped up and feel alone when you have so much work in your own major to do, like I've noticed from my personal experience. So one thing that I looked at too was just like the breakdown of the different majors and schools on campus, and hopefully use this information to help residents find study buddies and other people on the floor that they could work with down the road to try to help build these connections and making sure that everybody felt included. And making sure everybody feels included on our floor is what's so imperative in trying to instill an educational priority in university residences. Because as housing tells us, students will engage with learning-centered environments that promote self-authorship, connection, and intellectual curiosity. And all these pillars I'll go into later, but overall, educational priority is so important in trying to make sure that not only students are learning about their major or what they're studying here, but more about themselves along the way, and making sure that they come out of a college experience that's fully enriching and being able to discover who they are personally and how they're going to work going forward. In some ways that Cary Southwest 3 has tried to make an educational priority is by, first of all, like I mentioned with study buddies, trying to make sure everybody knows the other classes that people are taking so that they can make groups and study together if necessary to be more successful. Also, we have quiet hours in place to make sure everybody's getting a full night's rest and being able to study late at night. And we wouldn't be anywhere without the track, because the track is what allows us to create bulletin boards and be able to disperse information to students, like I have shown here as the keys to success for studying. This board last month includes a lot of information on just different resources on campus for libraries, places to go, and how to use information effectively or being able to maximize their time studying. Another thing that we did on our floor at the beginning of the year in our community meeting was the try to be considerate rule, which most residents have turned into the don't be a jerk rule. And while it has been playful in renaming the rule, it has definitely shown a lot of improvement in the students of being able to live with one another, not only just coexisting, but being really friendly with one another and trying to make the best floor possible to make sure that everybody is successful when it comes to their academics. One of the first pillars when it comes to the educational priority is intellectual curiosity. And intellectual curiosity, in a short sense, is just being curious about the world around you and acknowledging the fact that we're all beginning learners at some point. And some characteristics I had for beginning learners were that they are enthusiastic, driven, and open minded about learning about other people, topics, or even passion areas. One passion area of mine is playing cards, and I've definitely been able to see this in my floor tradition, considering we do board games and card nights. And I've been really excited to teach other residents on my floor how to play games like euchre and just other ways to get involved with one another. In addition to this, when it comes to intellectual curiosity, is that I've had to realize that I'm definitely a beginning learner myself when it comes to the RA role. In the picture shown here with both BB and Sam, BB is one returner RA on our floor, and I can't even describe the amount of times he's been able to help me with things when it comes to the RA role and just giving me advice on how to move going forward and just how to be a good RA in general. Without him, I'm sure I would be a lot more lost when it comes to this role, and I've been incredibly grateful of being a beginning learner and getting to learn from him what it takes to be an RA and other ways to improve. The second pillar in the RA role in intellectual curiosity is self-authorship. And self-authorship is so important because it means discovering more about yourself and what you find to be important in your beliefs. I realized that before this year, I didn't even think too much about my own personal values or what I held to be my core beliefs until we did the little Lego Man activity in class. And I realized that some of the things that were really important to me were respect and integrity for one another, that everybody has an equal opportunity, and especially in college where it's so important that everybody is coming here to learn and that they all have a way to be successful and be involved in different things on campus. And last but not least, I really value staying open-minded because I think that's the best way to have discussions with other people and be candid without trying to be closed-minded on the other hand, which is just going to lead to a lot more frustration and not being able to listen to anybody. The concept of self-authorship has made me more aware about my own values and has helped me try to find those in my residents through conversations with them and seeing what they're passionate about to learn more about them and their core beliefs in a way just to get to know each other and help build community once again on our floor. And last but not least is the why. And this is so important when looking at the pillar of connection because I truly believe connection is what lets people feel involved and valued when it comes to university residences. The URY, in my opinion, first in the biggest sense, is all of residence life and trying to maintain the educational priority of all the students. And distilling it down from there, I can look at my neighborhood and see that the Champion Heights Y of lead, serve, transform is sort of our motto of making sure that everybody stays involved and has different opportunities through neighborhood events. And last but not least, the Carry Quad Y, at least listed on the website, points to the academic success, safety, and personal growth of all residents. And I find all of these to be really important when looking at my role because these are the things that I try to uphold when it comes to helping my residents feel included and involved on campus. And this sort of leads me to my personal why of why I even became an RA in the first place. And a lot of this just goes back to basic conversations I had with my RA last year, who made me think critically about the decisions I was making when trying to join clubs and considering Greek life last year. And it's through these conversations that I learned to be more candid about myself, try to focus more on self-authorship and trying to develop my own person, and overall just made my experience in college a lot more well-rounded because I got to learn more from him. And so some of the things that I have here posted about connection are connections that students have made on my floor. One of which is one person deciding to offer guitar lessons to other people, and another one with a resident organizing his own intramural team on the floor. And these kind of smaller circles are what make me feel so happy as an RA to see and seeing how residents are building these connections and asking themselves these questions of what they're interested in to one another. So overall, I would like to thank not only this class for helping me get to reflect on these, but just this role in general for helping me learn more about being an RA.